Alright guys, let's come back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. The first match of this CDL season was Boston Breach versus the Atlanta FaZe, but it does not seem like that storyline is disappearing anytime soon. Slasher versus his former team will remain, but how about Snoopy versus aBeZy after getting slammed a couple of times over the last couple of days by the young Mexican player for the Boston Breach? aBeZy's leveled similar criticism at Snoopy that others have leveled at Shotzzy in recent times. How well will Snoopy's playstyle transfer when we get to LAN at Boston's own Major 1 at the end of January? Very much into your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Firstly, a couple of scrim sets to dive into as well, because we talked about FaZe Black versus Los Angeles Guerrillas yesterday. I mentioned they'd also scrimmed FaZe. I don't know if this is from that scrim set or another one, but you know, a lot of these maps have gone in the way that we might expect. So 250 to 90 here on Invasion, 250 to 89 here on Karachi. However, Skid Row was closer. I think a good comeback though from FaZe in that one. The sub-base is quite interesting just because a lot of the teams have played the new spawns, at least the Challengers players have played the new patch with the new spawns for longer than the pros have. So there's a bit of a learning curve for the pros to do at the moment, really, and I'm sure they'll get there very quickly. But the map that, well, a few of the maps have changed a fair bit. Sub-base has probably changed quite significantly though, because now it goes from a situation where getting 40 kills was a good map to now 30 kills is a very good map here. A seam drops 30 and 18 for the dub against FaZe, 250 to 151. So this map plays very differently. It might be a map that the pro teams take a bit more time to adapt to than others would, or maybe FaZe just aren't that good at that map, which is probably not going to last forever. I wonder to what degree the pro teams like look at these scrim sets, because if you're playing a FaZe in the early part of January when the matches resume again, they probably won't be scrimming FaZe right now, the teams that are. They might do, but usually when you've got upcoming matches against these teams, you don't tend to scrim them, and you try and scrim other teams instead, which I guess makes a fair bit of sense. But if you've got to decide what your vetoes are going to be, do you look at, you know, how much do you look at other leaked scrim sets? Not leaked exactly, as seems streaming them, you know what I mean? Do you look at these and think, all right, FaZe are looking really good on Invasion Karachi, maybe not so good on Subbase, or does it really matter? Because by the time it gets to the early part of January, they're probably going to be pretty good at everything, so maybe it's just better to play what you like and then hope that you can beat FaZe, which of course is going to be a challenge. They also played Terminal though, and again, this is one of the other maps that's arguably changed the most with the new spawns. That's 250, 241, so maybe this is now the new bang-out map here. Like, a Siege drops 39 kills on this map, so and it actually loses the map, so maybe this is the new kind of bang-out map, because Terminal so far in this game has been, I don't know, I mean, it depends. Scrims are different to real matches as well, and we've seen Kenny talk about that quite at length in recent times, that some players are very different the way they play in certain situations than others, and sure, we still have players dropping 17 kills here on a pretty close map, but, you know, maybe Terminal is still playable, I guess is the question, because there were people wondering with the new spawns whether Terminal would be completely ruined effectively. Doesn't necessarily seem like that's the case for the time being. Quickly on the Subliners as well, they have at least shown some interest in a return to challenges. So, you know, Subliners talk about this even in the replies, and they quote tweet this tweet from Brian Veals actually right at the start of December, who says, Gunless, Porlex, Classic, and Decimate looking for an organization for the Boston events and for the remaining Challenger season. Now, quite interesting in a way, that Classic, as I've said before, is the FaZe substitute, but yet they have their own Challenger team at FaZe Black with no Classic on, but he's teaming with these guys. So, you know, there's some history between these players and the Subliners in, you know, brief periods or whichever which way. Obviously, Porlex was there for some time and had good success towards the end of the Vanguard season, so maybe there's something in this. Subliners definitely hinting it might well be the case, and, you know, obviously, the frustration is for many individuals, especially Marky B. He's obviously coaching the best European Challengers team with Bance and Hixie and Nasty and Beans, of course, which is just such a ridiculously good team. I feel like Nasty has to get into the league this year at some point, but I just don't know which organizations would do it, because, well, as Jake Hell says in the replies, just be American, bro. You know, you don't have to worry about visas and flights and all of these things that become more complicated, which is why I would say those guys aren't getting the shot that maybe they, you know, I think they deserve it. I think they're better, a lot of those players, than even some of the CDL guys, but it's just the reality of the situation. But possibly a New York Subliners Academy or something could be returning, but as I say, it'd be a bit strange because they'd have a player who's the sub for FaZe. So it's not, you know, against the rules or anything, but it's just a little bit weird. I know there's also been some talk about hairstyles lately, so Envoy says it's time to get the mullet back on. I know that the OpTic guys have been discussing this, and Prit even mentioned it on stream the other day, because people always mention, you know, like the hairlines or whatever the case is. And Envoy says maybe get the mullet out, and I thought it was pretty funny that his girlfriend here says, like, you know, what if the mullet made him shoot different? Like you say, the shots were shaky last week, because of course Envoy didn't have the greatest series up against the Boston Breach, and we'll discuss them in a second when they eventually went on to lose. And even OpTic have said, or like Pred said, and Shotzzy says he's down for it, maybe just get rid of it all, right? Okay, maybe the hairline's receding, maybe the stress of playing Call at this level is getting too much, so, you know, just get rid of it. And Pred basically said that maybe the OpTic guys should just shave it all off. OpTic can turn up to the next major with just 4, you know, bald heads and just absolutely fry. I mean, as Uber says in the background, if you turn up like that, no way these guys are going to be losing. Of course, the other option is to do what Vikul did, and did he go to Turkey, or I don't really know what the countries are where they like specialize in hair transplants and stuff, but of course this is one option. I mean, look at Vikul there, who's absolutely frying nowadays. You're making the most of it for sure, so I thought that was really cool to see. But you know, I'll share that clip for you guys in a second, alongside though this one. So, well, actually not this one, but the next one we'll see in a second. But it's quite similar, because the playstyles of Shotzzy and of Snoopy, of course, even similar gamer tags in some respects. And I think Shotzzy has said, or Snoopy has said, sorry, that he's taken some inspiration from Shotzy's playstyle over the last few years, and you can totally understand why. And I think aBeZy, as we'll see this clip in a second, also has to realise that his playstyle, since he came into the league really 2019, but 2018 he really came on the scene in World War II and then won the World Championship the next year. The playstyles of these cracked out SMG players has inspired the generation of SMGs we now have coming through. So I think aBeZy has to realise that some of the stuff that Snoopy does, it's not exactly his own reflection, but you know, some of the plays that are being made are caused by the way that aBeZy and other players were, you know, really revolutionising the game over the last few years. So we know that aBeZy, sure, he hasn't really had too much gas so far in this title, because Simp has taken most of the flowers. Maybe last year aBeZy, understandably, was taking most of the flowers. This year it's probably Simp so far from an SMG perspective on FaZe. And generally, if you're on a rival all the time, now to be fair, in this situation, he's on the MCW here on the Skid Row, but usually the full-time rival players in the respawns don't have the best KD so far in this game. The ones that can kind of do both, the Simps, for example, when the 3AR meta comes into play on a fair few maps, those are the guys that are really frying so far. Not like aBeZy's bad at this game or anything, he's still very good. FaZe is still arguably the best team at the moment, undefeated, top of the league alongside Heretics at the moment. But aBeZy was up against Snoopy in some 8s over the last few days, and a couple of times, and we can see the clips here on the Skid Row and then on the Karachi, gets absolutely fried in such a way that aBeZy simply can't believe his eyes. Like, I mean, his reaction here is pretty funny to both of them, but also the comment he makes, especially on the first clip, saying, look, Snoopy, how about you stop going for these TikTok clips, which has been, well, it's an accusation that has been levelled at Shotzzy over the last couple of months as well.
Oh, wait, two, I'm on
No, bottom it! Bro, this kid is not real, bro.
That's like a hall, Snoopy.
Never mind. That's going for TikTok clips, bro.
Yo, wait. Here, I pitched.
He went top red. He probably went top red back.
He did. One shot in the back, can he?
Oh, top red. Jumped in. Jumped out.
There's two red.
He's going front hill on you.
Yo, back alley, front hill, yeah.
I got weak on top of bus too.
Hey Tom, what would you do, right? If all of OpTic Texas like turned up to like a tournament and we were all bold, like skin bold, all 4 of us.
I'd be terrified.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we gotta just do it.
If we all fall in skin,
I'm actually down, dude. I'm actually down to go bald. I mean, that's
so am I.
one of that. I'm actually down.
Dude, let's just get a bald cap.
Imagine we all 4 of us went skin bold and we just didn't even smile. We just did like no emotion,
no fist bumps, no
emotion.
There's no way y'all lose. No
shit. Imagine coming T12 with 4 bald heads. Oh, that's actually I'll do that for 10k gifted. I'd go bold, I swear to God.
So this was a big talking point in recent times against Shotzzy when Scrappy said that he goes for too many TikTok clips, like the guy's crazy, he goes for these moments that, sure, they can maybe work online or in 8s or situations like this, but try that on LAN, try that in a, you know, Champs Grand Final. Obviously, maybe Scrappy knows a thing or two, but had to lose one of those, then it's going to be a different story, right? So it's very interesting to see, and Snoopy's POV is so much fun to watch. It's very similar to Shotzy's. Even Doug said, and you can value Doug's opinion whatever you want, but he said that Shotzzy, you know, Snoopy's movements, I keep getting the wrong as they're so similar names, but Snoopy's movements is comparable or even better than Shotzzy's in some respects. And like, that's another debate. Obviously, Snoopy's played with Doug on the Boston Breach Academy, right? But it's not like we haven't seen Snoopy play on LAN. I mean, the guy has turned up to the World Championship. He had a real baptism of fire playing in the very first round, his first ever LAN at this level was against OpTic in the, the World Championship. He did admirably. They lost the series. He played 3 tournaments, or 3 matches in that tournament, and then he was out of the tournament. So technically, by the CDL rules, he's still a rookie for the upcoming season. And these are his numbers so far. Yes, Boston are only 1 in 3 after losing their first 3 series. The one to Los Angeles Thieves was especially rough, but they bounced back well against the Toronto Ultra, and Snoopy that series kind of put the team on his back in some respects. I mean, a 1.4 KD, not quite the most damage that went to Capsidal, but most kills in the lobby. And, put on an absolute masterclass here, Snoopy. So, and he's a player that you'd only expect to get better as well, with the guidance of Slasher and with Priestahh, and seems like a very willing player to learn as well from all those that he teams with. People are really high on this Snoopy kid, and is a very promising player. Like, his talent is clearly undeniable. The question is, can he put that into action? And it's been the same question leveled at Shotzzy, really, especially when the players get to a LAN situation. But, many players have mentioned this over the last few months, getting either frustrated with Snoopy's playstyle or, Dashy and Illy were saying that, oh, the Snoopy kid, he's just trying to be like Shotzzy and all this. But, Snoopy's taken inspiration from Shotzzy's playstyle, and clearly Snoopy's natural ability and his, the elements of his gameplay that are the most positive are his movements and, these crazy moments that he goes for, and he can actually execute them, which is, something that is very rare that people could actually try these things and then you do so. So, if you're Snoopy and you're successfully rattling aBeZy, the player that he is, then I think you're doing some things right, And I just wonder what's going to happen with this rivalry going forwards, because Snoopy's definitely ruffled a few feathers here from some of the players. And usually that's because you're damn good, like you wouldn't ruffle the feathers if you weren't really talented. I mean, a couple of the clips there we saw when he was taking down aBeZy, closing the door, then smashing through it, flying out the window. Like, these are players that are going to annoy the opposition. And okay, maybe on LAN you can't get away with them quite as much. But what we have seen from Snoopy on LAN so far, like especially last year at the World Championship, was still pretty impressive. And that was his first ever tourney. You'd expect him to get better over time. Even Drazah last year, like the Snoopy guy was making plays against him on Modern Warfare 2, and it was like, who even is this guy? So it's comments like this that make you, I think it's pretty promising. I mean, this clip especially here on the hotel when he flies out the window, like that's a pretty similar play to what we've just seen, right? And now the funny thing is that Drazah and aBeZy are teammates. So there's definitely been some frustrations leveled at Snoopy over the last several months. You can totally understand why from the pro point of view, and even Scrappy was getting annoyed. I mean, this is another example here of a clip that we saw a while ago where this is Snoopy, comes flying off the top ropes here and absolutely destroys Scrap. So many clips we've seen like this so far. I'm really looking forward to Snoopy's progress going forward, but I definitely think this isn't going to be the end of the story, and when, Snoopy makes some interesting plays, there's going to be points maybe leveled by some of these pro players back the other way. Now, look, is he going for TikTok clips like Shotzzy sometimes does? Maybe that's part of it, but also, there's not many players with the talent to actually execute these type of things, and I'm sure aBeZy knows that all too well. So very much interested to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.